Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Kozmo deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because Kozmos are actually one of my best friend's favorite decks of all time, which is Richard. So I really quickly want to give a shout out to him. Shout outs to Richard. He just moved back to my state, and now we're going to be able to play a lot more. And I'm going to try and be able to do some live duels with him in the coming future. So be on the lookout for those. But without further ado, let's get straight on this. But before we do, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad. And let's get straight on this. But I really quickly want to mention you guys, we do have a Patreon and a Ko-Fi down in the description of the video. So if you guys would like to donate to the channel, definitely check out those links. So let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing a single copy of Kozmo Dark Eclipser. So you just want to play one copy of Dark Eclipser because it cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects, and during either player's turn, when a trap is activated, you can banish a Kozmo monster from your graveyard, negate the activation if you do destroy that card. And if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can banish this card from your grave to add a level 8 or lower Kozmo monster from your deck to your hand. Now, every single Kozmo monster that is a ship or level 5 or higher besides Dark Eclipser just special summons the monster instead of adding it to the hand. So that's something to keep in mind. Like for instance, with Dark Destroyer, its effect is that at the bottom it says you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a level 7 or lower Kozmo monster from your deck. The Dark Eclipser is the only one that has that effect. So for instance, this one special summons the level 7. When this card is normal or special summon, you can target one monster on your field or one monster on the field and destroy it. And this card cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. And if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you special summon the level 7. Which your level 7 is going to be Kozmo Forerunner, which we just play as a 2 of. This card's really good, but you just want it as a 2 of. It can't be targeted by our opponent's card effects, and during your standby phase, you gain 1,000 life points as long as this card's on the field. And if it's destroyed by battle or by card effect, you instantly special summon by banishing this card from your graveyard a level 6 Kozmo monster or lower, which is going to be our copy of Kozmo Dogfighter. So Dogfighter is pretty good in this deck. Basically what Dogfighter does is once per turn during either player's standby phase, you can special summon one Dogfighter token, and it's 2,000, 2,400, and if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you get to special summon a level 5 or lower Kozmo monster, which is going to be our Slip Rider. Slip Rider is kind of like a copy of MST. When it's special summoned, you get to pop a spell or trap, and then you can special summon a level 4 or lower Kozmo monster if it's destroyed by battle or by card effects. Then for the last ship or level 5 or higher one, we play a single copy of Kozmo Dark Lady. She's not a ship, but she is a level 5 or higher one. She's technically the highest level pilot in the entire deck, but her effect is during either player's turn, you can banish her to special summon a level 6 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand, and you can only use her effect once per turn. And then once per turn during either player's turn, when another monster's effect is activated, you can pay 1,000 life to negate the activation if you do destroy that monster, which is a really good effect. You always want to end with like her and Dark Destroyer on your side of the field because that's really pivotal, because if you do, then you have an untargetable monster and you can climb down the ladder, and Dark Lady makes it so you can negate monster effects, which is really, really good. So then we play a single copy of Kozmo Dark Witch. Kozmo Dark Witch, by paying 1,000 life points, you can make it so she can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects, which is really good to stall out your opponent a little bit. But all of your Kozmo monsters just about share the ability that during either player's turn, you can banish them and then special summon a level 5 or higher, or one level higher than them, or any level higher than they are, which is something to keep in mind. Then we play a single copy of Good Witch. Good Witch is Book of Moon. She lets you flip a card on your opponent's side of the field to the graveyard by paying 500 life points. Like, she lets you flip anything face down that you want, a face-up monster on your opponent's side of the field, which is important. And then during either player's turn, you can banish her to special summon a level 5 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand. We play 2 copies of Kozmo Farm Girl. Farm Girl is during either player's turn, you can banish her to special summon a level 4 or higher Kozmo monster. And then when she inflicts damage to your opponent, you can pay 500 life points to target a Kozmo monster in your deck, or add a Kozmo monster from your deck to your hand. 2 copies of Sword Trooper. Sword Trooper lets you banish it to special summon a level 5 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand, and it also has the ability that once per turn you can pay 1,000 life points to target a Psychic type Kozmo monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So it lets you tag out with your other Kozmo monsters, but it's a really good card to play in here. 2 copies of Kozmo Strawman. Strawman's really good in here because it really helps out with being able to tag into your other Kozmo monsters at level 3 or higher. And then it also has the ability that once per turn you can pay 500 and then target one of your banished Kozmo monsters and then special summon it, but its effects are negated. Then we play the most important Kozmo monster, and that is Kozmo R2-D2, aka Kozmo Tin Can. So Tin Can's ability is that you can special summon a level 2 or higher, which is any of the other Kozmo monsters besides Tin Can, and then it also has the ability that once per turn during either player's turn, you can pay 500 to reveal 3 Kozmo monsters with different names in your deck, and then your opponent randomly picks one, and you get to add that one to your hand, and the rest get sent to the graveyard, which is not that big of a deal that they get sent to the graveyard. It's just kind of like, hey, they're in the grave now, so you can just recycle them. So that's just something to keep in mind. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Call by the Grave. The reason you play the 3 copies of Call by the Grave is because you really just don't want to deal with your opponent's hand traps. And so you play this as a, as a 3 of in here because you just don't want to deal with your opponent's hand traps at all. So you play it at 3. Then we play 3 copies of a card that I kind of wanted to tack in here, and it was 3 copies of Instant Fusion. So Instant Fusion is a new interesting tech card that I came up with for Cosmos, and the reason I play it as a 3 of is because you can throw this card in here and immediately get your value back out of it, because you can either go into something like Thousand Eyes Restrict or go into something like a copy of your Panzer Dragon or something like that and instantly get an overlay into a monster that you want to put on the field, which can be really, really pivotal for this deck to, go into other stuff, or use it as link material to go into another monster. Then we play a single copy of Emergency Teleport. Emergency Teleport's really, really good in this deck because it lets you special summon any of your Kozmo monsters from your deck that are Psychic type, which is like Tin Can, any of the pilots that are level 3 and lower, which is going to be your Tin Can, Straw Man, Sword Troopers, and Farm Girls. You can special summon any of those that you want from the deck with Emergency Teleport. 1 copy of 1-for-1, just to be able to summon Tin Can even faster, because it's basically Tin Can Turbo. You send a monster from your hand to the graveyard, special summon Tin Can from deck. A single copy of Reasoning, because all your Kozmo monsters are different levels, and Reasoning's like, hey, special summon a free Kozmo? Yes, please. 1 copy of Terraforming to search Kozmo Town. 2 copies of Limiter Removal, because all of your ships are machine monsters and makes them all double their attack points, and if they get destroyed, you just special summon the one that's 1 level lower than them. So it's really easy to kind of climb down with limiter removal. I thought about playing 3 limiter removals just to OTK, just OTK out of nowhere, but I kind of just feel like 2 is probably the optimal number. But if you want to play a third one, you can bump the deck up to 42. I'm playing a 41 card deck right now, but you can bump it up definitely to 42 if you want to play the 3rd copy of limiter removal. Then for the last 3 spells, we play 3 copies of Kozmo Town. Kozmo Town lets you target one of your banished Kozmo monsters once a return and return it to your hand. If you do, you lose life points equal to that monster's original level times 100. For instance, if it's a level 8, you lose 800. If it's a level 1, you lose 100. And then it also has once per turn, you can reveal any number of Kozmo monsters in your hand, shuffle them into the deck, and then if you do, draw cards equal to the number of cards you shuffled into the deck. And then if this card in your field spell zone is destroyed by a card effect, you can add a Kozmo card from your deck to your hand. Probably one of the best field spells in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So for its archetype. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps, because we actually do play some traps in here, which is going to be a single copy of Cosmojo. I just feel like 1 Cosmojo is plenty. Its effect is that you get to target 1 Kozmo monster you control and destroy it, and if you do, banish 1 card your opponent controls or in their graveyard, which is really, really good in this deck, because you get to banish 1 card just on the field, which is, pretty good. Then we play 3 copies of Call of the Haunted. So Call of the Haunted is in here because it revives any of your Cosmos ships and just puts them back on the field for freezies, pretty much. So I feel like this is a good 3 of, especially with Tin Can, because if you open up like a Call of the Haunted and a Tin Can, you can normal summon the Tin Can, activate its effect, send to graveyard, even if you send to graveyard your Dark Destroyer that you're trying to get into your hand, you can just activate Call of the Haunted and swarm the field with multiple copies of different monsters. You could also play back to the front if you wanted to, but you're not too worried about getting your cards destroyed. If your opponent chains like Call of the Haunted, chain Twin Twister, destroy your Call of the Haunted, put your monster, it's not that big of a deal. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Topologic Dragon. You need to play a single copy of this because it's really a good card, because if you put something under it, it just blows board, which is extremely important in here, because it's one of the best link 4s that you can make in this deck, because you can just activate your Kozmo monsters, tag them in, put them under him, and then blow the entire side of the field. And then you still get to keep him and swap into another ship that you can put farther down if you want to put farther down on the field, just so you don't have to deal with hit. One copy of Boral Sword. Boral Sword's really good in here because it helps you OTK. One copy of the Blackluster Soldier Link monster as well. This card's really good in here because every time it's going to be live, because all of your Kozmo ships are over level 7 that you can link into this just about. One copy of Nightmare Unicorn just to bounce stuff. One copy of Phoenix to pop spells and traps. Cerberus to pop monsters. And Linkuriboh because you do play Thousand Eyes Restrict and Thousand Eyes Millennium Eyes Restrict in here. For the XYZs, we're going to be playing a Cyber Dragon Infinity and a Cyber Dragon Nova, because you can go into this with a Slip Rider and a copy of Panzer Dragon extremely easily, and this card is really, really good in the deck. I play a single copy of Leveneer the Sea Dragon because you can use 2 level 3 monsters, which we also play an instant fusion target in the extra deck to special summon a level 4 lower Kozmo monster basically from your banish pile, which is really, really good to be able to detach material and then summon something like Good Witch, Tin Can. Usually what I do is I'll special summon a Tin Can off of the Leveneer. I'll normal summon Sword Trooper and then activate Instant Fusion, special summon my Instant Fusion target, and then go for Tin Can, put Tin Can back on field, and then use Tin Can effect to search 3, pretty much, or send 2 to grave, add 1 to hand. I play a single copy of Thousand Eyes Restrict just to kind of gobble up opponent's monsters. Millennium Eyes Restrict to just take control of the field by negating hand traps and stuff like that. Panzer Dragon is just here because you can overlay a Slip Rider and the Panzer Dragon with instant fusion into the Cyber Dragon Infinity. And a single copy of Fusionist. Fusionist is in here. You could use any level 3 fusion monster at this point to go into with fusion. With instant fusion, you just basically activate instant fusion, summon the Fusionist, normal summon Sword Trooper, use Sword Trooper effect to revive something from grave if you want to, by paying 1,000 or whatever it is, and then overlay the 2 together to put together to make Leveneer, and then Leveneer effect to bring back Tin Can if you have Tin Can banished. So it's an option there. The extra deck is kind of open anyways. It's an open-ended extra deck. You can kind of put whatever you want in here, but I really feel like this is the way to play Kozmo's extra deck. So anyways, guys, that's it for the deck. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a super fun deck. I highly recommend that you give this deck a try. I don't even know if it's expensive anymore. It's probably less than $100 for the main deck, I would have to say. Even when I picked it up back in the day, even with it being Premium Gold 3, it wasn't that expensive. But it's a good deck. It's a really good deck. I remember when Dark Destroyers used to be 120 a piece, which was crazy. But now they're like 5, maybe 10 each. So anyways, guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad. And if you are a part of the notification squad, definitely comment down below and let me know that you are one so I can give you guys a big heart. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.